The wilderness of northern Canada to the jungles of Wakanda to the sweaty, hot streets of New York City, the Predator has been having his way with the Marvel Universe for the better part of a year in the comics, leading all the way up to the event that is called Predator Kills the Marvel Universe. Well, before we can get there and to celebrate spooky season, let's go over what else he's been doing, starting off with Spider-Man in New York City. Right away, this starts off by letting us know that it is sweltering. It is so hot in New York. I mean, the page has that orange color that lets you know that it's hot. I mean, the page would definitely have like heat lines coming off of it if it could. We turn the page directly into the action because we have a detective staring at something, chewing on pieces of ice, doing the best she can to stay cool, while she's looking at one of the more horrific scenes that I've ever seen in a Spider-Man book. She's talking to this forensics guy and he's asking her, do you think this was a robbery? Do you think it was drug related? I talked to some of the neighbors and they said that a lot of people did drugs here. And the detective is like, no, I don't think so, because something was stolen, but I don't think it was a robbery. She notices that each body is missing a body part. Jaw's missing on one person, rib is missing on another person, fingers missing on another person. She's like, this is some sort of sicko trophy hunter. Something is going on here, but it's definitely not just a run-of-the-mill robbery. And that's when she notices something and she turns and she asks, wait a second. That's my job. What are you doing talking to the neighbors? And as she goes to ask that guy that question, he's completely gone. And the reason why he's gone is because he's actually Spider-Man. And as she goes to try to figure out who it is, she runs into the real forensics guys. So Peter, as Spider-Man, is swinging off and he's calling his boss. He's calling Jameson. He's like, I got something for you. Jameson's already pissed. He's like, the last thing you had for me was BS. I don't want it. I don't want good news. I only want bad news. Fear sells clicks. What do you got for me? And Peter goes, how about mass murder? And he goes, you better have pictures. Peter's like, I'll be there in 3 minutes. So Pete's making some good time and he sees a bank robbery happening and he figures he can go around the block, cut the guys off and catch them. But when he goes around the block, he sees a bunch of kids. They're in the way playing in the water because it's super hot outside. Of course they are. And what does he have to do? He's got to web them up. He's got to swing them out of the way, but he ends up letting the car go. Now, the van that stole all the money, it pulls into a garage and things go awry immediately because the one guy, the leader, he's out there. He's like, yo, listen, take your cut. Don't talk to each other for 2 weeks. Lie low and we're out of here. And then he turns around and all of his guys are gone. And he's like, wait a second. Do you want to cut? Is that what this is? I can give you more. I can give you more money. He's thinking it's somebody trying to rob them. And nope. It was Skinner, which he got his face pulled off there. So yep, he's goner. In the way that Skinner is just holding up the face to his own face is just very, very, very horror movie. Like he's digging it too much. But Spidey's still right behind the guys, and this shows really how quick this happened, because Spidey's right behind these guys. He swings in, and he has to pull out his phone, call back Jameson. Never mind, I'm not talking about mass murder. I'm talking about a serial killer. From here, the story jumps around a little bit, showing what different people are doing throughout their day, and then we finally land on Mary Jane, who is on the subway. And as her train's going, before it gets to her next stop, the power shuts off. Click. Everything's out. Now, it's hot on here. These people are tired. They're trying to go home. They don't want to deal with any of this. But there's this one woman who's really freaking out a lot more than everybody else. And Mary Jane spots her and notices what's going on. The woman is claustrophobic and she's having a really hard time with the idea of the train just stopping. So Mary Jane pulls out a flashlight on her phone and shines it out the window. And she's like, look at all the space that's out there. We're not too far. We're going to be safe soon. And then they kind of spot somebody. It looks like somebody moving down the tunnel. And then Mary Jane gets even more excited. Oh, maybe it's somebody who's working on the tunnel. They'll be right here. I'm sure you guys know what it is because, yes, of course, it's Skinner Predator. It's the bad blood Predator. Now, if anybody knows anything about Predators, they are not supposed to do any sort of dishonorable killings or dishonorable hunts. And this predator just willy-nilly hunting anybody, everybody, whether they're armed, unarmed, or anything like that. That is a complete no-no, and we're going to see that in just a moment here. But he basically gives them a gigantic jump scare in this moment. Smash cut to us back at the Bugle, where Jameson and Peter Parker are trying to figure out how they're going to get this story out. So now they don't have any power and nobody has any service, so they don't have any access to the internet. People couldn't read it even if they could get something online. They don't know what to do. And Peter's like, you know what? We taking it old school. They literally head down to the basement and they hit up the printing press and they just start printing it and they hit the corners. Extra, read all about it. Y'all need to know there's a killer on the loose. Now, I ain't bought a newspaper in many years, but I don't remember them being $10, and this man didn't believe that it was supposed to be $10 either. He said, Jameson, how much is it? He said $10. He's like, I don't got $10. He's like, okay, give me $5 for it. But right after all that happens, he gets the paper snatched out of his hand by the detective, and she's like, who took this picture? Where'd you get this picture from? And now this is me, I don't know, it kind of feels like he got caught lacking for a second, because I don't feel like Jameson would have given up a source like this. But Peter Parker's full government was printed there, and now she's like, where is this Peter Parker fella at? But Pete already knows that it's gonna be a late night, so Spider-Man is swinging out so he could say something to Mary Jane before he has to head out for the night. But unfortunately, Peter doesn't know that she's been attacked on the train. And now we cut back over to this guy who's selling these papers, and he's got them on the side of the road, and these couple of dudes, they look at him like, I wonder how much money that dude been collecting for selling all them papers. So they go to stick them up, but boom, arrow right through the hand. What's going on? Now, if it was a predator, that probably would have been a plasma cannon and they would have turned into a pink mist. So that's a little bit of a hint as to who this person is, because they are about to jump down, hit the second dude with a headshot, and then they're gonna ask, let me see that paper. Let me see what you're talking about. Tell me everything you know. And we look up and see it's Kraven the Hunter. Marvel's Supreme Hunter versus, I guess, Marvel's other Supreme Hunter. But it's gonna be Kraven fighting some predators. So that's it for part one. So this starts out with a bunch of city workers scrambling. They're trying to get the power back on, and there's somebody that is going down into the subway system. Now, if you remember from last time, the person that they saw out there was not the subway system worker. It was actually the Skinner Predator. But we don't know what's going on with this guy, because he's down there and he hears people. He hears somebody saying, help me, and then as he walks into the room, he's in about a foot deep of blood, seeing bodies hanging from the ceiling, and still hearing this voice saying, help me. Now, if you know anything about the Predator, you know what's happening right here. And my brother over at Dope Spill, he had the same question that I have. He asked, what kind of speaker do they have that sounds so crispy that it fools people every single time? I feel like I would know it's a speaker. Like, if you try to play me a song and it's off of your phone, I'm gonna get the most offended that I've ever been in my entire life. Either have a Bluetooth speaker with me or just wait to show me whatever it is until we're in the car. That's something else, I'm sorry. I digress. But of course, it's Skinner Predator, and this guy gets taken out, but we get a chance to see that Mary Jane did make it out alive. That little diversion probably saved her life, because her and this other woman were able to escape out of the train. Cut back to Peter coming in the house and looking for Mary Jane, where he hears a knock on the door, and he assumes that it's probably her just getting home and she forgot her key or something. Opens the door, oops, it's the cops. Slams the door in the cop's face, which I'm not telling you that's the right thing to do, but it was very effective in this case. The detective on the other side of the door, immediately having the door slammed in her face after she sees her prime target, has a lot of questions for Peter. And a lot of them revolve around, did you do it? And him just saying, nah-uh, and her going, I'm gonna kick in the door. but he's out the window before she can even do that. So right here we get a really cool shot of Spider-Man swinging past the Predator ship as it's cloaked, and he can't see it at all. He doesn't even know that it's there. And I think it's awesome. On the next page, he talks about the fact that it feels like the city is alive with danger. And we've seen the spider sense work like this before. When Peter's been almost attacked from another dimension, his spider sense has gone off like this. And sometimes it's gone off to a degree that it like put him on the ground, like he couldn't even move or function. That's how bad it was for him. So it's not quite that, but he feels like just something is constantly off. And then Peter gets to do my favorite trope in horror movies. He gets to go to the library and read a bunch of books that's going to explain perfectly what is the problem, and he's going to be able to find those books instantly. I don't know about you, but like I've never been able to find a book on my own in a library. I know there's a system, but I asked the librarians. They worked very hard to learn how to use that system and point me in the right direction. And now we quickly switch over to Kraven and find out what he's been doing this entire time, which has been tracking the Skinner Predator as well. But this is a moment that I feel like we get to watch Kraven flex with how he tracks, because he walks into the scene and immediately knows what's going on. The guy wasn't after any of the money. He's only in this for flesh and bone, as he puts it. He's saying that he must have such wonderful tools to be able to do such a delicate and difficult task, like folding origami in a rainstorm. That's what he calls skinning the person. And he says that he takes bits and pieces of the people, so he knows that he must have a den somewhere nearby where he keeps these trophies. And he's saying to make a trophy of a trophy hunter, now that would be the prize, a real prize. So Kraven is excited for this hunt because of course he is. He's Kraven the Hunter. And now we see that he's also noticed that Spider-Man's been here, and now it's kind of a race, right? He wants to catch Skinner before Spider-Man can because he wants to hunt Skinner, and he knows that Spider-Man won't let him do that. So he's in a hurry, and he's not about to be stopped by this police officer. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last issue. Right before Peter jumped out the window, he had given her the address and said, go there, there's another killing that's happened. So that's why she showed up here at the exact same time. And Kraven's just a great tracker, so he found the guy basically immediately. And he tells her, hey, listen, put that gun down. You don't want to do this. And she's like, nah, you better. And he throws her into the spider trap. And then he is off into the city. Now we cut back into the sewers where MJ and the woman that she was helping on the train have escaped away from the Skinner Predator, and they're trying to make their way through the tunnels and get out of there. They run into somebody who is just down there, and they start to freak out, they start to scream, and he immediately covers up their mouths with what has to be the filthiest hands on the planet, and he tells them that they need to be quiet while he still has his filthy, dirty, disgusting hands over their mouth. I don't know if I would be able to stay quiet. But he makes the point, be quiet or else he's gonna come back. He's going to hear you, because bam, they are in the den, and there are bones, there's skin, there's blood everywhere. This is where Skinner has been hiding out. And now we cut back to the Daily Bugle, and Peter's bringing back all the research that he figured out at the library, because of course he did. He found everything that he needed to do. This is a horror movie. Don't you remember? He's telling Jameson what's going on, and he's like, it's been happening for years, hundreds of years. This symbol has been popping up all over. The same MO, the same killers. This thing has been around for a long time. And Jameson ain't buying it. He's like, listen, man, I understand what you're saying, but I don't do this whole conspiracy theory thing. I don't know what you got going on, but I'm not here for it. I'm just trying to sell these papers. And Peter's like, listen, I got a sense about these kind of things. Now, Peter's staring out the window, and he feels like he's looking at something, because turns out that ship is right there. That Predator ship is right there. And not only is that Predator ship right there, but it looks like there's a hunting party that has come to clean up their mistake. First thing that you see is Peter and Jameson still arguing, because Peter is trying to get Jameson out of the building. He doesn't know exactly what's about to attack them, but his Peter tingle is telling him that he's about to be attacked and it might not be safe. And he's right, because there are 3 Predator standing on the roof, and they're about to jump right through that window. As these things come crashing through the window, Peter is able to get Jameson on the elevator, hit the button, and send him down. Then he suits up and he heads into the other room because he knows he's going to have to talk to or fight whatever these things are. Now, Peter inadvertently collected all the information that they were looking for in order to hunt this thing, and that's why they're here, because he just did all that fun horror movie research in the library and brought them also all the answers. Now, Pete's a talker, and of course he jumps in, he starts to talk, and they immediately throw shuriken at him. Pete can't tell who these guys are, and they're not talking, they're only doing a little bit of clicks and clacks, and that's all he's got to go on. We cut from there back to the city workers who were working on a transformer trying to get the lights back on in the entire city, and out of nowhere a crossbow bolt comes, hits the transformer, and it explodes. Who is it? None other than Kraven. He's trying to make sure that the lights stay out and that signal, no one's able to contact anybody on the outside world, because he doesn't want the Avengers or anybody else to come and stop him before he can get his ultimate prize. And he's having a little bit of trouble, not because he's not a great tracker, but because this Skinner is a bad blood. And what a bad blood predator is someone that does not care, like truly in even the predator world, a serial killer. So he's nobody's safe. If you're an old lady, if you're a tiger, if you're a guy running, and this last one is a playground, so you guys know what happened. Randomness does have a silver lining for tracking this guy down though, because Kraven realizes that he's all over the place and no one sees the predator. So what does that mean? He's not traveling above ground, he's traveling below ground. So he heads to the subways. Which brings us back to Mary Jane and her friend and that guy. This guy is promising to get them out of the tunnels. So he is trying to lead them out of the sewers down these various tunnels, and they hear from behind them somebody say, "Help me." Now this guy's hip to it. He's like, nope, that's the monster. It has some sort of amazing speaker system attached to its armor that's indistinguishable from human voices, even though we as adults know what human voice is. I'm sorry, this would never trick me. It bothers me in the movies too. It is my least favorite thing about Predator. This wouldn't work. Okay, alright. Mary Jane is quick-witted too, and she notices, hey man, we going down when you said that we was going up. What's going on? And he's like, we will go up as soon as we get done. And she's like, get done doing what? And he's like, hiding, because I just said the big monster is coming. Ladies, keep up. And he leads him down some gross stairs to a gross, gigantic, disgusting pit of rats. Lots and lots and lots of rats, and he pushes them right in. Now, there is a method to the madness. The reason why he's doing this is because the predator is able to see heat signatures, but if you're surrounded by a bunch of warm stuff, it just looks like a blob, so he wouldn't be able to tell where the people are. And the thing is, it worked. It just didn't, the old man didn't move fast enough. Now, cut back to the Daily Bugle where Spider-Man is fighting 3 predators at the same time and he is holding his own. But this is another moment where we get to see how the spider sense works, because he notices that when he's targeted with the 3-dot targeting system, it doesn't feel like he's fighting 3 of them anymore. It feels like he's fighting 12 of them. Like the danger level immediately rose and his body knew it. And Spider-Man is doing this thing. He's webbing these guys up. He's doing what he is supposed to be doing, and he thinks he's got everybody. That's 2 down, but my Spidey sense is doing that really big. And then the room explodes. Then the room explodes. The room exploded. And of course Jameson is like, oh shit. The audacity to sit here and ask him, you ever wonder why Peter Parker seems to be in the middle of trouble everywhere he goes? It's like, come on, lady. That's my office just blew up. He just blew up. My office just blew up. Like, and I think my partner might have died. Can you give me a minute? And for some reason, there's this entirely big body-shaped thing that has been webbed up and thrown out the building. And they're like, what is this? Walk up to it. Bam. It's the Predator. He webbed up the Predator, tossed him out the window, and the Predator didn't feel a thing. This opens up with a manhole cover being pushed up and dozens of rats spilling out, also as Mary Jane and that woman pull themselves out. Unfortunately, it looks as though Skinner has also tracked them down. But this moment is happening at the same time that the Daily Bugle is exploding. So he hears that, turns his head, and he's like, what is going on? But that signals something that he knows. He can smell that the other predators are here. He knows that he's being searched for, and the better thing for him to do would be to go fight them immediately than to be caught slipping. And as he starts to run off, the ladies think that they are finally safe, but somebody grabs them out from underneath the sewer, and it is Kraven, and he wants to know, where did that predator just go? Now, the hunting party predator that's still here, that was webbed up, that got tossed out the building, yeah, he breaks out of that webbing and he grabs that cop and he grabs Jameson and he goes, you go over here, yup. You go over here, yup. Because usually predators don't take you out unless they think that you're a credible threat to them. Which, I wish he would have turned around or had a spider sense, because he would have known that Skinner was right behind him. Now Skinner, he don't care. He's gonna take anybody out. Now we cut back to what was happening during that fight when Peter got hit with that cannon, and he's like, listen man, I already got enough rogues. I don't need like a crab face guy. Like I already have weird looking guys. I don't need you guys, come on. And Peter gets shot right out that window. And at the same time as that, Kraven the Hunter is climbing up on top of the Daily Bugle because he knows that's where that ship is, and he thinks that's where that thing is going to end up being, and he finds them. He finds Skinner looking for him, and they go at it. Blow for blow, cut for cut, blood for blood. They are dripping in each other's blood. But this is Kraven the Hunter. This is Kraven the Hunter we're talking about. He does not lose, and if he does, it will be glorious, but today is not that day, because he stands victorious over the headless body of the Skinner, because he had to take a trophy. Now, if you know anything about the Predators, they're sore losers, okay? So, when they're about to go out, everybody gotta go, and that countdown starts, and he can hear it. And now Peter, he pops up on the scene too. He immediately recognizes what is going on, and he's like, listen, I gotta take that thing and we gotta go. Peter's like, cut that thing off and let me have it. So he does. He makes it a little backpack, he puts it on, and he starts swinging out the city. He's gotta swing, he's swinging fast. And at the same time, Mary Jane spots him, and she's like, Peter, which, that's his whole government. Why did you don't do that? She knows it's about to go off. He knows it's about to go off. It's a race. And it says, but he would have died 1,000,000 times over for her. Peter Parker would do anything for her, anything for his city. And he knows that he's only got a little bit, but he drops that thing and he swings away from it, and we're not sure if he makes it because it goes off right underneath him. And it's a crazy bright explosion, so bright that it's almost blinding at the Daily Bugle for Kraven. And even Kraven's looking at it like, I thought I would have been the one to take you out, but that was an honor. That was hard, dude. Like, that was some tough shit. But again, they never catch Kraven slipping because they think that they get, and now this is a group of aliens that is like professional get the drop on you, and they still couldn't catch Kraven slipping. Kraven turns around and he's like, you want it too? There's more of you? Good. And they start whacking, cutting, hitting each other. And finally, he grabs him by the throat, and Kraven, he's smiling. He's looking like, when Peter had the goblin spirit and he was choking him out, and he was like, what are you smiling for? And he's like, this is what I always wanted. And that's what he's saying. He's like, listen, this is how I always wanted to go out. I will die as I lived, in the heat of battle with one of the greatest hunters in the universe. And we cut back to Jameson and the cop. And they're like, man, nobody's gonna believe this. Like, how would they believe it? Like, remember, the power's been out. Nobody's had cell phone. Like, nobody's been able to make any calls. Nobody's recorded anything. Nobody got pictures or nothing. Nobody's gonna believe this. And then they hear a little gurgling, a little sound, they turn around. Oh, it's you still alive. Looks like you still alive. I guess we do have an alien on our hands. For about 2 seconds, they thought that they had him for about 2 seconds, and then we get the man, the myth, the legend, the horrible Dr. Abraham Cornelius. You knew it, you knew it, you knew it, you knew it. So we probably gonna get some sort of Predator X. Because if there's one thing that Dr. Abraham Cornelius knows how to do, it's take a feral monster and turn him into a different kind of feral monster that maybe is under his control sometimes, maybe. And we cut back over to Mary Jane, and she's just distraught at the water. She thinks that she just watched him just perish in front of her eyes. And of course, hey beautiful, mind giving me a hand? And she's like, wait a second, you're back. Woo. Speaking of folks that did not die when we thought that they did, we see that Predator is still holding Kraven, and he takes his mask off and he shows Kraven his face, and Kraven's like, okay, then do it. Do what you're gonna do. And he pulls out the weapon, he holds it up to Kraven, and he bloods him. He gives him the symbol of his blooded kill. And then, with apparently the best speakers in the entire world, as he goes back to enter the ship, he says, a great hunter, come and get it. Because that's what Kraven had just said to him. A great hunter, come and get it. And Kraven go running up there, like he's a kid in a candy store. The ship takes off, and we see Mary Jane and Peter watching it. And Mary Jane says, I think we get a moment of rest here, bud. And Pete's like, probably one issue. It'll probably be like one issue. They're probably gonna, it's probably gonna go bad almost immediately. Yep. But she's like, yeah, but I mean, this book's over. So give us a kiss then. Brings us to the end of our coverage of Predator versus Spider-Man. And yeah, this will eventually lead into Predator kills the Marvel Universe, but I want to take a step back because we gotta go visit Wakanda. That's going to be important to the story too. So if you guys have not seen Predator versus Black Panther, we're going to be covering that one next. But thanks for hanging out. See you next time.